Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning back in to the Nicolas Bowling Show. And I'm very excited about today's episode because this is just me. It is about to do a thunderstorm here where I stay. And I figured, you know what? I'm probably not going to be able to sleep. So let's go ahead and knock out Tnbs number 13, I think it is, or maybe 14. I forget. But that's dope. I like forgetting because that means I'm getting up there. I'm getting up there in numbers. No interviews today. Also want to mention the new link is thentnbshow.com. That is to all the archive past past shows. If you want to check out the Luna Lopez, the Florida congressional candidate, go check that out. Also the interview with Alex Rosen, the top predator hunter on YouTube. So go check that out. We are going to talk about Luna in a few minutes here because she did touch on this topic, and I am going to play the clip of that interview coming up in one of the topics that we're going to be talking about here. And for those of you who have not been here or forgot, I have OCD and have a lot of tics. So if you notice me jumping around or doing any stretches or jaw stretches, that is because I have OCD. I'm OCD positive. Go check out the single. Link down below if you want to check out my song, OCD Positive, produced by Dub 3030. Anyway, let's get down to it. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about here is Trump versus, not Biden, DeSantis. And for those of you who don't know, DeSantis is my governor in Florida. I stay in Tampa, Florida. And he is top of the line. Everything about him I like. All his policies I love. The Don't Say Gay bill I think is amazing. I wish more governors were like him. He's got balls. He stands up to the media and the Democrats. Florida is basically a pretty much conservative state. So it fits well with him. And just a quick little side note here. I actually didn't vote for DeSantis, full disclosure, in the primaries. I voted for another guy. I can't even remember his name, but here in Tampa, I really liked his policies, but can't remember his name. He was like the agriculture or something. I don't know. I think he's a ginger. That may have something to do with it. But anyway, but then obviously when he won, I obviously went down and voted for him happily. I didn't really know who he was. I saw Trump endorse him. Then he won, and I was like, wait, let me check this guy out, which, that's totally on me. I should have did that beforehand. But remember, this is 2016 when I just got into politics. RealNSC.com is founded in 2016 because of Trump. But I hope that, you know what, let me back up a little bit. So I've had a number of debates with myself and also with others out there, coworkers, friends, people I've interviewed, other candidates, parents, family members, all that. And everyone brings up great points. And a lot of people are saying they're going to go for DeSantis, which to me is very surprising. I think he would be a great president without a doubt. Do I think that he would be better than Trump? I don't think so. But for me, Trump is all the way up here. And like nobody is getting up there as far as, in the near future. But as far as Trump running in 2024, I got asked this the other day, is Trump running? And I get asked that a lot. But, I had this discussion actually with my mom, and she said, do you think Trump's going to run in 2020? And I said, I think he will. But there's a few things that I'm not liking with the way he's handling things. And I don't know if he's getting advised by somebody or if he's just doing this on his own. Because the reason why I say that is because this doesn't seem like something he would do. He's the type of person to put it all out there. Just if he wants to say something, he's going to say it. He's not going to wait. And that's a part of why we love him and also kind of pull our hair out with him because he says things that's like, okay, maybe you didn't have to say that. Not that you're wrong, but maybe you didn't have to say it like that. I do think he's going to run. I think there's a lot of rumors going around that he's going to announce in July. First, it was July 4th, and that didn't happen. Then they say, well, mid-July, and mid-July is gone, and it's almost to the end of the month now. And now they're still saying, well, he could still announce. But the way you look at the way he's doing things, obviously with Truth Social, which, is his social media, which I'm on there. Links down below. It's at Nico Real NSE. So the way he set that up, he's getting people pointed over there. The numbers are good over there. Free speech platform. And then also with the rallies, he's going on a number of rallies. I think he just had one tonight in Arizona for the governor there, I believe. I forget her name, Kelly something, who's a really good candidate. And he's just going around, but he's kind of hiding. I think what he's doing is he's using these rallies to kind of gauge where everything is at, because there's internal polls and this and that, but he wants to see, just my opinion, this is the way I would be. He wants to see how his support is right now. Like, because Trump is the type of guy, and I think kind of we all are, if he announces that he's going to run, let's say right now, he just sent out a Truth Social and he is running, 100% running. I think a lot of people would be happy, but with him, I think deep down, there's that thunder, deep down, I think in his head, very small voice in his head says, what if they don't want you right now? What if it's too late? And this is kind of why I know he was banned off Twitter and he was going to go back with Elon, but with possibility with Elon. Elon said he would have him once he finalizes everything. And then Trump said, no, thanks. I got Truth Social, which I think is fucking stupid. I mean, you need to be on all these platforms. I pray that Elon buys Twitter still. Realistically, I really, really do. I love Twitter. I've been on this since 2009. I have 21,000 followers, which really doesn't mean much because I'm shadow banned. And TikTok, I was just banned on for talking about 2020 election fraud. So it's like, and on YouTube is my main. I got like 2,500 subs, and it's just still like just nothing. I mean, I upload something and get like 100 views, but anyway, where was I? I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. So that's the benefit of having no interviews on your show and having your own show. You talk about whatever you want. And this all kind of ties in, though. I'm a little frustrated with Trump because I understand the Twitter thing because he's waiting probably for Elon to come on officially and yada yada. But man, he's out of the news. He barely uses Truth Social. I mean, this guy would tweet like rampant on Twitter. And that's how he got his word out there. A lot of his supporters, including me, loved it. Loved that he was just able to put a thought out. Boom. No filter, nothing. Boom. Those are his words, not a staffer. His words. And for whatever reason, he's not doing that on Truth Social. I don't know if it's because of the January 6th crap that's going on in the hearing. He doesn't want to give any fuel to that. But that doesn't seem like Trump. I don't know what's going on, honestly. It's very, very weird because Truth Social has the ability for videos for, I don't know about live stream, but I know videos. And he has a lot of followers on there and gets a lot of interaction, but he's just not pumping out what he should, and it's very strange because all those people are waiting like, what is going on? When is Trump going to, we're kind of waiting for our marching orders in a way, because if he's not running, then, I guess DeSantis is the guy who also said he hasn't announced if he's running or not, which I respect because he still has a state to run. And we're still, a year and a half out or whatever it is. So I respect that. I just hope it's soon, man. I do wholeheartedly believe that Trump is going to run. I just hope it's not too late. And by too late, I mean people are just kind of moved on. We have a rising star in the GOP, in the conservative movement. We have a number, but the star that's just way going up there is DeSantis. So if he's not careful, I mean, even the loyals, here's the thing, even the loyalist voters of his may still think, man, let's get someone new in there. And literally, I quote an anonymous source, but I quote, somebody literally told me, no, matter of fact, a number of people told me face to face, it's time to get new blood in there. Those were their exact words about Trump versus DeSantis. And I've even had people go as far as to say Trump's time is over. And to me, I'm going to get into what I think here in a moment, who I would like in between those two. But honestly, man, what is he waiting for? I mean, is he waiting for the midterms? I mean, I did an article on this probably 6 months ago, 8 months ago or something. What is he waiting for? I mean, one thing is, and this is what I told my mother about, and she asked what I vote for him. And I said, absolutely, wholeheartedly, I would. Granted, if, now he comes out, he's, I'm a fucking communist. I just hate giving my blind support to someone. But if he has the same motivations and same policies and same stances, of course, I am going to throw everything I have behind him to get him elected. But so is he waiting for the midterms? Which is, I think he might be waiting. That's the only thing I can logically think of, because maybe he's like, why am I going to spend this money and all this energy and do all this stuff again if we don't get true conservative patriots in there and not only take back the House for Republicans, but get people in there that are going to actually do something. Not this, we'll hand them, look at this, we have a big stack of election fraud proof, not allegation, proof. And they'll say, yeah, but it's just time to move on, or man, where's the evidence, man? It's like, dude, go to hereistheevidence.com. There's the evidence. Boom. Okay. And I mean, I'm not going to get into this whole thing of the 2020 election, but oh my God, it's just amazing. People are either ignorant as hell or they have an agenda about the 2020 election. And I'm going to leave it at that. But, if we don't get people in there that can actually change these laws about, ballot stuffing and harvesting and, all this sort of crap, voting multiple times and dead people voting and, just all this nonsense. That's just it's not necessary. Be there with your ID before the polls close. And that's it. That's it. Very, very simple. None of this, millions and a billion fucking mail-in ballots that can't be confirmed and don't have signatures. We're going to go ahead and accept those. All right. Look, man, none of that. And Luna Lopez had a great point on this. The way she, told it was great. I'm going to play her clip in just a moment here. And keep in mind, this is a clip that actually got me banned off of TikTok. Oh, you know what's interesting? I thought TikTok was ran by the Chinese, right? That's what we heard all these years. But why would the Chinese government, Communist Party, get upset for me criticizing the American elections? Well, yeah, something fishy going on there. And I literally, in that clip, I scrolled through all the evidence. And I put source, here is the evidence.com. I mean, they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of articles of proof of election fraud and voter fraud and all that stuff. And it's amazing because nobody wants to look at it. But ultimately, that is why I am doing everything I can to help elect good conservative, constitutionalist, populist people into Congress. And, it gets frustrating. I sent a tweet out the other day on all my platforms, all the social links down below. But, man, it's aggravating to see, you have people all over social media who are conservatives and Trumpians and all that. And they're like, man, we got to do something about election fraud. We got to do something. We got to do something. We got to get these people elected. And then I ask them, like, so what are you doing to get them elected? Like, what are you doing to help ensure that we elect true patriots in there, not rhinos and Democrats? And they're like, well, we got to do something. We got to do something, man. I mean, something has to be done. But what are you doing? And they don't do anything. They're sending tweets and posting videos and stuff. And it's like, dude, these candidates they need our help because of censorship. You think you or I are getting censored? Just imagine what they're dealing with, because they're trying to change shit. And, it's just frustrating because I feel like, and of course there are people, but there's a guy I listen to that I really look up to. His name's Brian Craig. He runs the Steve Bannon Show. I listen to him about every day. I really look up to him as a broadcaster. Someone like him is in Florida, and a big radio station in Florida. He has like 6 channels. And he could easily get these conservative candidates on to talk about stuff every week for a 10-minute interview. Every week, once a week, pump them out, have a whole day dedicated to it, or maybe just split them up. I mean, and he's not doing any of that. He's not. I don't know if he's financially supporting them or anything, but he's not spreading the word. If you have a voice, you have to help these people get elected. I ran a campaign. I've ran multiple campaigns, not anything huge, but I ran multiple campaigns. And, man, just saying, hey, you got my support, man, shaking his hand, that's nothing. Not even money is something. I would rather, as a candidate, I would rather have somebody shouting at the rooftops, shouting at the rooftops, figuratively speaking, posting on social media every day, hammering it home, telling friends and family, boom, 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 handing out flyers, going door knocking, and if somebody has a YouTube channel, then do videos, do interviews, ask the questions that people want to know. And that's what I'm doing. I've already interviewed probably 10 candidates, and I have sent out probably 100 emails, and I have 3 interviews scheduled for this Sunday and also this coming week. And I have other ones that I'm working on as well. And these are all independent conservative candidates, and trying to do everything I can. My, little audience that I have an audience, despite the censorship. I have a lot of people on realnsc.com and have, pretty good rating on the sites. And I've been featured on InfoWars and Revolver and yada, yada. But that's just really frustrating to me. And I think that's what Trump is kind of waiting for, is to see the fire burning. It's one thing to show up to a rally and scream your head off and wait there for hours and hours. But it's another thing when you are helping to run the campaign from the outside. That is what it takes to elect good people, period. And honestly, man, if we don't elect good people, if the same thing just happens on 2022 for the election coming up, I don't even think Trump should win. I mean, I think he should just say, you know what? I tried. I gave up so much, and I gave up so much time and energy. And you guys didn't fight for me hard enough. I mean, because at the end of the day, man, we the people have the power, not the politicians, man. And I know it sounds cliche, but that it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, we make the rules. We have the power. Period. Ron DeSantis positioned well for 2014 as Joe Biden's approval plummets. Wow. All right. As President Joe Biden's approval rating continues to decline, even among Democratic voters, a potential path to the White House is opening up for Republican Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. Look at that traitor in the background. On Monday, a new poll from the New York Times and Siena College found that Biden's approval rating was reaching an alarmingly low point, with only 33% of Americans saying they approve of the job he's done as president. Oh my God. A figure even worse than last week's record. Goodness, it's just going. And although Biden was able to maintain a narrow lead over former President Donald Trump in a hypothetical 2024 rematch, 44% to 41%, the Democrat might fare worse than when pitted against DeSantis. Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history at 79. At the time he took office, Trump was the oldest at 70. On the other hand, DeSantis is only turning 44 this year. Should he successfully win a presidency in 2024, he'd be the third youngest American president behind Theodore Roosevelt and John F. Kennedy. Yeah, that's another thing people like as well is that he's really young. But not like insanely young, you know. What is it, like 30 years old to run for president or something? All right, we got a couple more things I want to go through. This is from Newsweek, another Newsweek article. Biden approval rating plummets to new low, making year of high disapproval. This was published on July 5th, so it's probably even worse. It's been a year since the majority of Americans approved of President Joe Biden, and new polling shows that the low ratings could only continue for the president, as those figures plummeted again last month. Obviously, we all know majority of Americans did not want him in there, but so I want to get to my opinion here, what I think Trump needs to do, and why I personally think Trump deserves another 4 years. I'm going to get to this briefly. You know, this segment is running long. Want to get to a couple other things, and including the Bannon conviction charges or whatever. So basically, I think he deserves another 4 years because of all the sacrifices that he made to run for president. And wholeheartedly, I believe he did that not for fame or to his legacy, only that, but also to really help the country. And you can't deny he did. There was a major upswing in basically everything. Energy independent, it goes on and on. I'm not going to get into all his things, but just, them already. I think that we owe it to him. It's almost like in the first election, he kind of owed it to us because not only did we get behind him and get him elected and whatnot, but also he had what it took to not only become president, but to be a president, and a good one at that. And in my opinion, the greatest we've ever had. Now, with that being said, it's almost kind of reversed because, he did that for us. He held his end of the bargain. All his promises kept, promises made, promises kept. It's such a great slogan, by the way. But yeah, he kept that word. So now it's like, okay, now we got to fight for him. That's why I'm fighting so hard to get these candidates elected, because I think we, the people, and conservatives in general, really owe it to Trump to fight for him and get him elected. It's almost like he's sitting back saying, I want to be president again. I love this country. I love my supporters, but I need more from you. I need more from you. Just like, in a relationship, couples are sitting in front of a therapist, and one to the other says, I love you so much. I want to be with you for the rest of my life, but I need more from you. I need to see more from you. I did all this work. Now I need some from you. So, and I think that we need to start waking up and start doing that. I'm not going to toot my own horn here and say I'm the only one doing it, because obviously I'm not. But more people need to. And going into that, this will be the last piece, and then we'll move on to other news. This is again from Newsweek. Eric Trump, and I'm mainly using these because there's quotes and actual facts. I'm not going to their stupid opinion stuff because they're freaking terrible. This is an older article, but this is kind of puts a bow tie on what I was saying. Kind of goes into that. Eric Trump. Trump organization makes tremendous sacrifices because of presidency. Cancels hotel plans. The Trump organization canceled plans to open 2 hotel chains, which Eric Trump chalked up to being one more sacrifice the family has made since the father, Donald Trump, became president. And of course, this was still during when he was president. But it doesn't really matter what date it is, because this is another thing too, man. People around him, not only did he make tremendous sacrifice financially and otherwise, be attacked every day, lied about, be called a sexual assaulter. I mean, yeah, can't imagine that. So he gave up his business, lost billions of dollars, gets slammed every day, nonstop on mainstream media for lies. They are trying to pin charges on him, when it was Russia and now with the January 6th, for nothing. And they're also going after his kids and his family and his friends. Roger Stone and Bannon and all these people getting prosecuted. I mean, ugh. And then look at Hillary Clinton, what she did with the emails. Clearly should have been put in prison. Clearly. And that's according to the FBI themselves. Walks. Still has her security clearance. And she doesn't get hatred. She doesn't get attacked. She doesn't get banned. Her family doesn't get attacked. No problem. In fact, they're still making money. They're making more money now than they've ever had. Quote, we walked away from billions of dollars worth of deals and ceded virtually all expansion, Eric Trump told the AP. We continue to make tremendous sacrifices and understand the bigger picture more than anyone. Our father has the most important and most powerful job in the world. Yeah. When he was president, even if he doesn't run the company, the red tape that goes along with that to run a company, an international company, oh my, I couldn't even imagine that. Every deal you make is not only scrutinized, but just examined like crazy, because they want to find, these DOJ people, Trump, or Obama leftovers back when Trump was president, and Soros back, attorney generals. They want to find stuff to arrest him and say, "Oh, look at this! You conflict of interest. You violated this act and that act." But man, can you imagine that? Can you imagine going to work and not only having your boss, but your boss and your boss's boss watching everything you do? And not only, if you make a mistake, not only like reprimanded or whatever, but you could be fired and also put in prison and fined a bunch of money. Can you imagine that? Just imagine that. That's insane. That's insane. So let's move on to the final segment here, which is Steve Bannon, who I like a lot. I listen to him almost every day during the election, after the election and the fraud and all that. He was a real beacon of hope on his show, The War Room. I think it was originally called War Room Pandemic. Great show. It's still on today. I still watch every now and again. This is very strange because this ties into the whole January 6th thing. He was basically summoned to testify in front of Congress. And if I'm not mistaken, he declined because he was enacting privilege because he worked for Trump. And obviously, when you have that sort of relationship with the White House and stuff, when you are on the payroll in a higher up position, which he was the chief of staff, which is, I believe, number 2 on the list, beside obviously the vice president. As far as staffing goes, that's the most powerful, if I'm not mistaken. And he basically said I'm not going to do this because I can't, because it's going to violate privilege, executive privilege. He's right. Not only that, but the guy wasn't even in the White House or really affiliated with Trump. I don't know if you remember, Trump outed him in a pretty nasty way several years ago before the 2020 election. I think it was like 2017 or 18. And I was not happy with that. I mean, like, if you want to fire the guy, that's one thing, but he called him like a dog and he begged for his job. And I did not like that. I think Bannon is one of those guys that is partially responsible for electing Donald Trump, getting him in that position. So I just don't like that. And, Bannon has been obviously attacked and ridiculed in the media. But also, I mean, he's still, even with all that, he's still loyal to Donald Trump in the MAGA movement because he's a populist, a very proud one at that. So that's something I disagree with Trump on definitively. I did not like that at all, the way that was handled. I don't think he should have fired him. I remember at work and I saw he got fired. I was like, oh my, are you kidding me? Because to me, he's like a political genius to me. But anyway. Breaking update. This is from Gateway Pundit. Breaking update. Verdict reached in Steve Bannon's criminal contempt of Congress trial. Guilty on both counts. A D.C. jury on Friday reached a verdict in Steve Bannon's criminal contempt case after a 4-day trial. Update. After deliberating for 3 hours, the jury found Steve Bannon guilty on 2 counts of contempt of Congress. Contempt of Congress is that's such a fucking joke. Bannon is facing up to 2 years in prison. Breaking from Kyle Griffin. The jury has reached a verdict in Steve Bannon's trial. NBC reported a jury found former Donald Trump advisor Steve Bannon guilty on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for blowing off the January 6th Select Committee. Oh, it's funny. Upon sentencing, Bannon will face a mandatory minimum sentence of 30 days incarceration and up to 1 year behind bars. He also could be fined between $100,000 and $100,000. What the hell's kind of gap is that? He is expected to appeal. The case is not complicated, but it is important. Assistant U.S. Attorney Molly Gaston told jurors during closing arguments on Friday. Did not want to recognize Congress authority or play by government rules, blah, blah, blah. All right, so the last one here is actually Bannon commenting on this. If I go to jail, I go to jail. I will never back off. I support Trump and the Constitution. Steve Bannon brings the fire on Tucker Carlson following Friday court verdict. This is crazy. It's insane because the guy wasn't even in the White House. I mean, why are you First off, why are you even doing this? It's so obvious that Trump had nothing to do with people breaking into the Capitol. And again, I state that is our building, so you can't really break into something that you own. I mean, I can't break into my home right now. Now, as far as the destruction and things like that, absolutely wrong. Disavow that. Those people do need to be put in jail. But the people that just walked in and walked around, that's not breaking the law. That's a public building that taxpayers actually fund. That's our stuff. That's how it works. Tucker Carlson opened his show with a detailed and powerful segment on the 2-tiered justice system in America today, where Democrats can attempt assassinations of GOP lawmakers and walk free, but Trump supporters are jailed and put into bankruptcy over made-up charges. Couldn't say it better myself. Tucker, man, he's always been good, but he has been just on target lately. Amazing. No wonder he's the top-rated show. Do what he has to say.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Welcome to Tucker Carlson. Any authoritarian regime is politicized justice. Under that system, your opponents go to jail. Your supporters can do whatever they want. And this reveals that the state exists not to serve the people who live in it, but to preserve itself and to crush all dissent. I hate to think we've reached a point anywhere near that here in the United States, because there's nothing worse than that, or scarier, or harder to fix. But in fact, we have reached that point. That's where we are. Yesterday, for example, a man leaped on stage at a campaign event and tried to stab Lee Zeldin. Zeldin's a sitting member of Congress. He's challenging the unelected incumbent, Kathy.
Wow, I didn't know that. So when I just read that, I didn't know that they were talking about something that just happened. I thought they were talking about Steve Scalise or whatever, some other person, because that shit like this happens all the time. They encourage violence against Trump supporters, and it just goes on and on.
Vocal in the governor's race in New York. So ordinarily, attempting to assassinate a federal office holder would be considered a big deal. But Lee Zeldin is a Republican, so it's not a big deal anymore. The man who tried to murder Lee Zeldin was released immediately with no bail.
Wow.
Less than 24 hours later, by contrast, former Trump advisor Steve Bannon was convicted of crimes that until recently were not crimes at all, for which he now faces a prison term of 2 years. Bannon has been declared guilty of something called contempt of Congress. That may strike you as an unintentionally hilarious term, since most of the time Congress invites our contempt. But the point is, this is a crime that Democrats are not convicted of, ever. Attorney General Eric Holder and IRS Executive Lois Lerner were once found to be in contempt of Congress, both of them, and for real crimes. In Holder's case, it was gun running in Mexico. In Lerner's case, it was targeting conservatives for audits. But neither one went to trial. Holder claimed executive privilege, which was enough, even after a judge ruled that executive privilege did not apply in Eric Holder's case. But it didn't matter. He walked. Lois Lerner cited the Fifth.
Great point, man. Great point. People died in Fast and Furious, and he just walked. No repercussions.
Amendment. It was as simple as that. Both of them today, Lerner and Holder, are free and richer than ever. Steve Bannon was subpoenaed by the January 6th committee, despite the fact he had literally nothing to do with January 6th.
That's what I'm saying.
And we know that because he left the White House 3 years before it happened.
It's a joke.
Matter. He annoyed the wrong people, so he's going to jail. Now, this shouldn't surprise you, really, because we've been building toward this moment for some time. You might recall Greg Craig, that would be Barack Obama's former White House counsel. He was acquitted of violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, back in 2019. He'd been working for Ukraine. Now, at almost exactly the same moment, Paul Manafort, who hired Greg Craig to work on Ukraine, was convicted of violating the same law, FARA, on the same account for Ukraine. How does that work exactly? It seems like a double standard. And indeed, it is a double standard, but it's a consistent standard. We've seen it again and again.
I'm going to fast forward a bit because we already know all this stuff.
Steve Bannon is the former White House chief strategist. He's also the host of The War Room. And as we just told you, he's just been convicted of 2 crimes. Steve Bannon, thanks so much.
It's insane.
You can't kind of help but notice that you were convicted of a crime, which is not actually a crime most of the time in Washington or ever, within the same 24-hour period as a guy who tried to murder a gubernatorial candidate in New York was released with no bail. What are we to make of these 2 events occurring the same day?
Well, as you can tell, the Democrats are completely lawless, and look how they've run this committee. There's no ranking member. There's no minority counsel. It's not like the traditional hearings that have galvanized the nation in the past. And Tucker, I think it's one of the reasons that it hasn't really had that big an impact. When they interviewed the people on the trial, I think almost all the working class people didn't even know what was going on. Your show with people like Darren Beatty and Revolver and Raheem, you've done actually more original reporting on what we've got to get to the bottom to. Look, we need a commission or a committee on January 6th. It's got to be with the new Congress, with Republicans in charge, and we've got to get to the bottom of the intelligence failures, FBI involvement, DHS involvement, the intelligence services, what happened to the Pentagon and the National Guard.
It's so obviously a setup. I mean, anybody watching that, it's so obvious it's a setup, man.
All of this, Ashley Babbitt, all of this, we have to get to the bottom of it. And people are going to get to the bottom of it, even to the fact of some of the testimony that was given by staffers in my trial. We wanted decision makers to come over and actually go on record under oath and say exactly what happened here, and they wouldn't. Well, they hid behind a privilege, of which they wouldn't allow.
Wow.
Which they wouldn't allow me to. The judge, the time Narracast this on the.
What a joke!
I've spent my whole life in Washington. I see a lot of acrimonious debates, but the idea you would send someone to prison because you don't like his political views. There's no allegation that you organized January 6th over there, stormed the Capitol. I mean, this is fully insane. They don't like your politics. They hate your attitude, and they're trying to send you to jail. Did you think this? I didn't think this could happen. We'll start there. Did you think this could happen?
100% I think it happened. Remember, these guys all thought they were going to change China and the Chinese Communist Party. They're taking on the aspects of the authoritarian state and state capitalism combined. This is the elites that run this country. This is exactly how they.
Wow, so he was literally expecting to go to jail. You know what's terrifying? And God, I hope I'm wrong. And I hate I even have to say this, but I hope something doesn't happen to him in there. Because that is exactly what this looks like. You know, same thing with what's his face? Jeffrey Epstein. He's got all this information on all these elites. Looks like he was gonna do a deal. Oh, dead. Oh, well, how'd it happen? Well, he hung himself in, with some sheets. Wait, wasn't he on suicide watch? Yeah, but the cameras went down. But what about the guy doing his rounds? He fell asleep. What? What? Come on, dude. So I really hope this doesn't happen. And I'm not trying to be like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen. But that's what it seems like, man. Because anybody that's on the other side politically that has anything to do with Trump, that goes to prison, there's a very good chance that they're going to end up dead.
Tucker, I'm not new to this. I've spent more than any Trump official in intense, being a witness in the Mueller Commission for, I think, 30 hours. In the House Intelligence Committee, the Senate Intelligence Committee, I had Bill Burke, I had Alex Spiro. Here I had David Schoen. I had top lawyers. They wouldn't even let it be that I could rely on the opinion of my lawyer. Here they took away every possible defense so somebody can have a defensive law. Okay, that's why we didn't even put on a defense. We just had an opening argument and a closing argument. Tucker, this is where they're going. I mean, you document it better than anybody, but no, people have to understand. This is just one fight in an entire process, and that's why it's absolutely incumbent that Liz Cheney's defeated in a couple of weeks in Wyoming by the Republican Party and by conservatives and by MAGA. And then later, we've already got Kinzinger out. We got another member of the committee I think is already retired. We got to defeat Luria. But we must have a sweeping victory in the House. And then Republicans have to have the stones to put on a real hearing. And by the way, let the Democrats have a ranking member, let them have a council, and just get to it. If you look at what Darren Beatty's done on your show alone, it's outrageous what the public doesn't know about this. For the good of the system, this has to happen.
But in the meantime, you've just been convicted. I mean, how do you feel about going to jail? Are you confident you would be safe there, for example?
First off, if I go to jail, I go to jail. I will never back off a second. Look, I spent 8 years as a naval officer. I've committed my life to this program to get this done. I will never back off. I support Trump and the Constitution, and I'm not backing off 1 inch. If I go to jail, so be it. But look, we've got a long appeals process.
Tucker's face.
McCarthy did a great hit on Fox earlier today. We got a long appeals process. I think the law is with us on a number of situations. I think some of this is really going to be adjudicated, maybe even higher than the appellate court. So I'm very confident that we're 100%
I got to see
right
that face
law,
again.
I'm going to fight this for Trump and the Constitution, and I'm not backing off 1 inch. If I go to jail, so be it. But look, we've got a long appeals
He's like, what?
process. Amy McCarthy did a great.
Wow. Well, guys, that is wrapping up this episode of the Nicolas Bowling Show. Again, all shows are archived. Well, no matter if I get banned or not. That's why I got my own server on realnsc.com. Go to thenbshow.com. And also, wherever you're watching this, just go down below and you'll find social media links. I'm going to create a new TikTok. I'm not sure what the username is. I'm just going to keep creating them. They're going to keep banning. I don't give a shit. I'm going to get the truth out there, and I will not be silenced. Okay? I will not be silenced. You can bet your ass on that. They will never, never silence me, and they will never silence or take down realnsc.com ever. So yeah, they can pretend all they want that, there's no fraud. I'm going to keep talking about it and stick my middle finger right in their face because I'm for the truth and what really happened, so yep. And even if the Republicans did this, I'd be doing the same thing. You can bet your ass on that. All right, guys. So go check out the Luna Lopez interview. Go check out the Alex Rosen interview. Be sure to visit thenbshow.com for archives and also updated stuff. There's so much more coming. So much more shows like this coming, reviewing news, talking about things, live streams coming, more interviews. Also, if you guys have any sort of recommendations on people I should interview, just let me know, shoot me a DM or drop a comment, whatever. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much. God bless, and stay safe.